Hey guys, welcome to the channel. We are going to be, this is a lab experiment tonight. This is one of those, it's a workshop night, so I don't have a script. And the other interesting thing about this, and the last time I did a video like this, the feedback on it was pretty strong because what you guys said was, well, it's actually really cool to see that you go through the same stuff that we go through when you do a live assembly. And so for that reason, I'll tell you a little bit about what we're going to do today. I'm simply putting together the internals, the heart of the dragon and the eye of the dragon. So I'm not putting it in the dragon. That's easy. That once you get all the configuration stuff worked out and the wiring, installing it, that's not fun to watch on video. I don't like watching those myself. So I'm not going to do that because there's not a whole lot to learn there. You guys know how to use double-sided tape. So for that reason, what I'm going to do tonight, I've got a couple of different things. The first is the Kopilot. So I've got the Kopilot. I haven't even unwrapped it. Okay. So this will be an out-of-the-box configuration of the Kopilot. So we'll do that. That's going to happen. I've got it's hiding. Here it is. I've got a bunch of stuff on the desk. So this is a micro TX. This is the Crossfire Nano TX. And notice I've got a little pin on there. That's a surprise for later. I've never tried this before, so that's new. This may be one of those things that gets me, but we'll try. I'm going to try and make it work. I'll explain that a little later. I've never even bound this yet. I haven't bound it, so I wasn't able to test this feature that I want to try out tonight. So so that's what makes it interesting. It's going to be live. We'll see how it goes. But I'll explain that when we get to it. And this is just a little cable that I'll use to connect to my M8S to get it powered up. So we'll bind that with the radio. Again, not even bound. This is the only thing I've done on this is I soldered the pin header on. That's it. And I connected this little servo lead. That's all I've done. I've powered it on to make sure it worked because that'd be a letdown. So this is a Crossfire receiver. And notice I'm just using the whisker antenna. I'm not even using an Immortal T because honestly, this is good for 2-3 miles and the plane's not going to go that far. So that's what this is. We'll do a little bit of work on that. And then I've got a whole jumble of mess here. This is already wired and tested, and I want to show you guys. Let me hide this manual for just a minute. I want to show you guys the arrangement that I'll use for the VTX. And in case you've never seen it, I've got some details. So this little wire is an extra one. I'll explain all of this stuff to you guys in case you've never seen it. But this is just a basic VTX setup, and I'll show you how I do my LC filtering and power and camera setup. So I figured we'd do that too. This has all been tested. Obviously, I had to get the wire harness built. I don't think you guys would enjoy seeing me solder wires together with heat shrink on a live stream. So I just did this ahead of time and tested it, and of course it works. So with that said, I think we'll start with the VTX first because we can get a pretty quick hit on that in terms of what's interesting. So that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to set the radio aside. I do have the radio out because we are going to bind the Crossfire. We're going to bind the Crossfire to that radio in a little while. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is bring this up and show you what I've got for my diagram. So this is a little wiring diagram that I put together, and I want to just kind of walk you guys through this. And I'm not sure, I don't know if I'm going to be able to capture my mouse. So I guess the only thing I can do, I didn't really think about that. I don't have a way to capture the mouse on this one. So what I'll have to do is just kind of walk you through it. And we'll start on the left-hand side. So the camera, you can see the wiring diagram on the camera. That is the diagram out of the book for this camera. And so on the left-hand side, we've got VCC, that's power, and then ground, and then video. So that's the red, black, and yellow wire on the left-hand side. Yeah, FL Engineer, that's kind of why I got the green one. I wanted to try it. Hopefully I'll never lose it. So we have the first 3 wires over here are, wait, I can point. How about that? That'll work. There we go. Hold on. This is live stream experimentation. Here we go. We got the red wires. There we go. I don't need a mouse. I'll use a pen. So red, black, and yellow. Those are the first 3 wires. And you can notice that the red, black, and yellow, they go to the VTX. So the idea here is that the VTX, and those are these 3 wires right here. The VTX is the one supplying the power to the camera. and the camera, so the power comes from the VTX to the camera on this red wire and this black wire. That's these two in the diagram. And then the yellow wire right here is the video wire, and that goes to the camera. So that's the video lead that goes to the camera. So the way this flow of information works, right, is you've got a camera, and the camera is looking out at the world, and when it's got power that it gets from the VTX, and the power on the VTX is clean. I'll talk about that in a minute. So the camera takes a video signal in, and it transmits it on the yellow wire all the way back to the input on the video transmitter. So that's that yellow wire right there. And then the power, that's for the power of the camera. And then you'll notice there's a couple more wires on here. The red and black, these two right here are the VCC, or they're the primary voltage source to the video transmitter. Okay, so I've got a video transmitter. This is the primary power being supplied to the video transmitter, which in turn supplies power out to the camera. Now, the way that works is this diagram right here. We start on the bottom with the ESC and the battery, or power distribution board. It can be whatever power source you want. It doesn't matter. This is not necessarily a filtered power source. And I believe the input on this is 7 to 30 volts. So it really doesn't matter what you use for a power source, but this is the power source feeding the video unit, okay? Now, you've got a red and black, and they go into an LC filter. And the one thing I'll point out, you notice this red arrow. I cannot guarantee you this alignment is correct because I didn't flip this picture over and look at the bottom. But the bottom line is that all these boards have an arrow on the bottom to indicate the flow of power. Okay, so we're just going to pretend that this is the correct alignment for this particular board. That flow of power is correct. It goes this way. So we've got negative and positive from our power source going into the net positive and negative of our LC filter, and then positive and negative to our VTX. But also notice there's a tap right here off of the power filter that goes over to the camera. That's the VCC lead. And on this particular camera, you can see they call it VSEN. I can't get on top of the diagram, but it's this red wire right here. That's the battery or voltage sensor. That's how you get voltage on these cameras when you don't have an on-screen display. So that's the VBAT, and I'll show that to you in just a little bit. Okay, so that's the connectivity. That's the wiring diagram. And just to look at it in short, I've got this camera joystick that lets me configure the camera, and then we've got our power leads going to the VTX, and this red lead right here is the V-sensor battery. This red lead right here is the V-sense battery that goes into my filter, and then this red and black goes into the VTX, and then the power comes off of my power distribution board or my VTX. Okay, so power, unfiltered power comes in. It hits the LC filter, it leaves and goes into the VTX and over to the V sensor on the camera. And then the VTX provides output power and video signal support for the camera. So that's the diagram. That's the VTX diagram. And I figured we can go ahead and fire that up. Give me just a moment. I'm going to grab a power supply. And we will set I'm going to hide the diagram now. We'll get that out of our way. Let's get a go. There's the diagram, that's gone. All right, I've got my handy little Drock power supply. I'll connect the battery to it. And it doesn't matter what my input voltage is. We can imagine that it's my flight voltage, so we'll just set it, I'll just set the input voltage to say, I don't know, we'll do 11 volts. Okay, so 11 volts, and here's the power out, and what I'll do is connect power out on my little filtered unit here. And you can see that we've got now power on the video transmitter. Always make sure you have an antenna connected. Don't do this without an antenna connected because you can burn up your VTX. And then I'll just power on the monitor, and we should get a nice clean video signal if everything works the way it's supposed to. So there we go, there's our video. And then the next thing I'll just show you real quick is the joystick. So there are options. You can see that I've got on my screen, I've got RCVR, I've got my input voltage at 11, and you can see that pretty well matches up on my power supply. So that's indicating my battery voltage. and then the time on. And I've also got a little crosshair indicator. And you can get into the menu by long pressing the top button, and that lets you set up the various... this is the Predator 5, by the way. If you guys haven't seen that camera yet, this is a Banggood camera. They sent this one for review. So I haven't had a chance to put it in a plane yet, but there you go. That's the display. You know, I'm not seeing any comments. Normally I see a lot of comments flying by, and I just want to check and make sure I'm not missing anything. The last thing I see was FL Engineer saying you'll never lose that camera. Can someone just throw something in the comments to let me know that we're going out okay? Because normally that's one way I tell. Everything looks okay, but I normally see a lot more comments than this. So if somebody could just say something, let me know the audio's working. That'd be really embarrassing if I went this long without audio. Anybody out there? Bueller? There, okay, NH Shim says we're good. Okay, I'm driving. All right, that's fine. I just needed to know because normally, like I said, I see a lot of contents go by or a lot of comments go by. Okay, so everyone can hear. That's fine. Okay, so there's the camera, and I got to tell you, you know, I've only been inside with this little Foxeer Predator 5, but it looks pretty good. I'm going to be very anxious to take this outside and take a look. So anyway, you can get in and make your adjustments with this little pigtail connection, and that is included in the Predator 5 camera, by the way. So, all right, let's see if I can get... I have to, I guess I have to go down to exit. There we go. Exit. And then if you click on this, you can also go in and make other adjustments. You can adjust the camera ID. This is where I adjusted the text. You can see that there's options to move the cursor around, to clear, to change the position, all kinds of things in there. And then if you want to make picture adjustments, I don't think there's any point in doing picture adjustments inside. So it's better to do them outside in the daylight when you in the same conditions you plan on using the aircraft or the camera. Okay, so that's the VTX setup, and if there are any questions about this, let me know what they are, but that is all I've got on the VTX. That's the basic VTX wiring, and when you're doing a Kopilot or a non-on-screen display, this is the way to go. And by the way, you can also do this if you want to do like an FPV backpack. Of course, if I were doing a backpack, it'd be much smaller, but if you haven't seen pictures of the Dragon, and let me bring that up real quick so you guys can see the Dragon real fast. Here's the Dragon, and in this airplane, the way they have it laid out is you can see that the VTX and the antenna go right there. That's where they mount in the plane, and I do want to go ahead and use that. So since they've already provided the location and the antenna mount, I do want to go ahead and use that. So, and the VTX goes right under. So, and then the camera, of course, is all the way up here, right there on the nose. So for that reason, this wound up being a relatively long wiring configuration, but I can tell you that it does go, this power lead will reach the power distribution board, no problem. And the camera will make it all the way to the nose, and the VTX and the antenna will mount right here in the back. And that's just long enough to do that. So that's why I have all that wire. All right. One other thing that I want to tell you, a little surprise to give you guys some incentive to hang around for the video, is that little wire right there. This is smart audio. So this is smart audio, and it turns out that a Crossfire Nano supports a smart audio directly. I've never tried this before. I've known about it. I've never tried it. So my intention is to plug it in and give it a whirl. We're going to give it a try. We're going to see what happens. So let's see. On the diagram, you had a wire going from the VTX to the Crossfire Nano. Yeah, there you go. There you go. That was it. Sergio just covered it. Let me go ahead and hide the drag, and we'll bring the wiring diagram back up. So here's our diagram, and that's exactly what I was just talking about. So you can see there's a signal wire right here, and that lead on this VTX is called SA, or Smart Audio, and that's the one that goes to the pin, and I'm going to use channel 4 right here. That's the pin right there for Smart Audio control off of the Nano receiver. Again, I haven't tried it, so hopefully it'll work the way it's supposed to, but I've never tried it before. Okay, so we'll get to that. I'm gonna table that for now. We'll get on to that in just a little bit. Okay, so that's the diagram on the VTX. Any other questions about the VTX? Hopefully that's interesting to you guys, because the last time I did a wiring diagram or discussed it, somebody said a diagram would really be helpful. So hopefully that diagram was helpful. And you know, you can always go back and screenshot the channel or the video and get a look at that for later. But that's the way I have the wiring diagram set up. Filtered power in, and the VTX supplies power to the camera. So that's that. All right. So we'll go ahead and set that aside. That is the eye of the dragon. The eye of the dragon. So that is done. Yeah, the menu, yes, the menu control board is included in this particular camera. They're not always included, by the way, but they are in this one. You got parts to all, you got all these parts in links. I don't think I put the camera in. Yeah, you know what, I did. Yeah, they're in the description. Yeah, if you look in the description, they're in there. Okay, let's see. Next up, let's go ahead and do the Nano. I'd like to go ahead and do the receiver next. And the reason I want to do that is because after the receiver, we'll do the Kopilot. I'm here just rearranging things on the desk. I told you this was a lot. This is a lot to tackle in a video. Boy, I'll tell you what. Okay, so there's my M8S, and I'm going to go ahead and get the Nano receiver. And again, I've never bound this before. This has never been bound on this receiver. It's only been powered on. That's it. That's all it's ever had. All right. Hopefully you guys can see everything there. Might need to be able, might back this out just a little. This might work better this way. Okay, so here we go. Now I've got the M8S, and I'm simply going to, now I'll tell you in the spirit of full disclosure, again, I'm trying to make sure that we don't waste time or do disinteresting things on the video. So what I've done in this case already, and I'm already getting static off that Crossfire, which I hear it in my earphones. So anyway, what I've done, I've already set up a model, Reptile Dragon, and all I did was I cloned my drift. I cloned the Zod drift because that's really the same airplane with one difference. This has two motors, which will be treated as one signal source, and this one has a rudder, and the drift doesn't. Those are the only real differences. And they both use a Zod Kopilot, and they both use a Crossfire. So I just cloned that, and I'll go ahead and go into the model setup and show you what's going on in the model setup. So I've got the Dragon. I've got and take a good look at this because this will come into play later. So aileron, elevator, throttle, rudder, no weights. I'll add weights later, but for the video today, I just wanted to do the basic radio configuration. And then as you can see on the mixer, aileron, elevator, throttle, rudder, and I've got one switch SC for mode, and that's it. This is a very basic configuration. On this one, I've got a couple servos that are reversed. I'm not sure if that'll be the case in the live setup or not, but they're reversed in this case. Okay, so that's it. That's the setup. Are there any questions about that setup? This is Kopilot. So the reason I'm showing you guys this is because this is what you need for the Kopilot configuration. And I get lots of questions about Kopilot config. So I just want to make sure you guys have a good look at what I've got. This is very simple at the moment. It might get a little more complex later when I get ready to maiden, when I add rates and things like that. But for setup purposes, this is really very simple. Okay. Okay, so there's the radio setup. Now I'm going to go over to the model page, and on the bottom, you can see that I have, this is a little different if you're not used to using Crossfire because we're using an external module. So you can see the internal RF is turned off, and the external RF is set to Crossfire on channels 1 through 16 and receiver of 00. Okay, real basic, and that's that. Again, all I've ever done with this thing is power it on. So now, I'm going to bring up the manual for this. Let me see. I have it. Give me just a second. I thought I had it. I thought I had it prepared already. I guess not. Let me get the manual open, though. Here it is. Crossfire manual. And let's see. Does it bring that up? Yeah, there it is. Okay, what I wanted to show you guys is in the bind. Now, I heard after I did the last bind, the first time I read about this, I was told that you had to press this little bind button. You had to press that little tiny bind button right there. But they're saying, somebody came in afterward and said, nope, you actually don't need to do that. So what I wanted to do was find the bind process and show, here we go. You'll notice you can control any model and blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Bindings does not require 3 hands or special jumper. Let's see. I should have found this ahead of time. Auto bind. There is a, when you update your firmware, you need to rebind, multi-bind. What I was told was that you don't have to press the bind button. If you've got a bound receiver, just bind update with multi-bind turned on. I don't know why I can't see it. Maybe it was a different book, but I'm going to go ahead and try it. What I was told was you can just initiate the bind from the radio. So I'm going to try that. Sorry I couldn't find it in the book for you, but I am going to go ahead and do it right here. So let me just go ahead and hide this. And what I'm going to do is connect. I've never tried this before. I've always done the bind button routine. So I'm going to power this on. So you can see I've got a blinking light now. Now on the radio, I'm going to go into the system screen. This is a little counterintuitive. And you find the tools menu. I was already there. And you go to Crossfire. I was right there. And there's the XF Micro TX. So I'll highlight that. And I'm just going to hit bind. And you guys can, I just want you to see what I see. This is the first time I've tried it like this. So I'm just going to hit bind. Oh, and I saw a red light already. And it says, would you like to update the Micro RX? I'll hit enter. And we'll let it go. See, now that bothers me that normally when I see that happening, I see that start climbing when you do that auto update. It starts climbing from 0 all the way up. I don't know if you guys saw that recovery mode, but I have a feeling we may be destined for that. Oh, there it goes. Look at that. How about that? Very cool. I'm pretty sure every other time I've ever tried this, I've pressed the button, but apparently you don't have to do it. That's neat. You know, I get a lot of questions about, yeah, that is definitely kind of cool. I get a lot of questions about whether or not Crossfire is needed. And one thing that I'll say about it is that, you know, we did this price comparison thing. I did this price comparison thing with Spectrum radios, and if you went all in with a blinged out TX16S and a Crossfire starter kit, you're still, you know, you're at 250 and 130, so 380, and you got a pretty thoroughly competent radio. You got multi-bind capabilities plus all the long range you could want. Yeah, Burnt North, I haven't played with the new TBS widget. I wanted to try and do the most basic arrangement first. You know, I wanted to try it. I've seen it, but I haven't tried it yet. I'll get that out. I'll do a video on that. But I've seen the new Agent Light. I haven't started playing with it yet. Like I said, I wanted to do this as basic and simple as I could, and I'd say that's pretty basic, man. All I did was turn it on and hit bind. That's it. So there we go. It says I see the solid green light. And you guys notice I didn't touch anything. That's one of the keys. I think when you do this, don't touch. You got to let it go through its process. But normally when you see a solid green light like that on a Crossfire, you're bound. Okay. So now the next thing that I want to do on my M8S is I'm going to go to the output screen. This is one of the reasons I like this so much, because we can test things. And I'm going to go ahead and leave here. I wonder if I have to reboot this thing. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I know what I didn't do. I have to put it in S-Bus mode. That's what I have to do. Give me a second. Crossfire configure. We'll go into the Nano RX. Sorry, see, this is live. This is live. This is what happens when you do stuff live. Okay, yeah. Output map, we're going to use, oh, look, DSMX. Interesting. S-Bus. Output 2, we'll turn that off. We'll leave that on channel 2. And then on channel 4, smart audio. You see the smart audio? I'm going to go ahead and leave that the way it sits. And then I'll go ahead and back out and back out. And now do I have control? Nope.
Receiver is still connected.
I'm going to unplug everything and plug it all back in.
Welcome to OpenTx. Throttle warning. Stabilization off.
I'm not seeing any movement on S-Bus. I wonder why. That's 3 channels. The top channel is signal, and that's signal on the M8S, so that's correct. Uh-oh. I don't know what's going on. Let's see. We should definitely see S-Bus. I'm gonna have to go, I need to go into my dark configuration and look. I'm not sure what's going on here, because as long as you have that S-Bus configured on that transmitter, that's it. You should see it. I don't see anything on the transmit module that I need to be concerned about. And on the Nano RX, I do, so it's 8 channel mode, maybe 12 channel mode. I don't know that matters. RF profile, dynamic, failsafe. Yeah, that looks good. Output map channel, output 1. I wonder if that's it. Let me take a look at the map at the configuration real quick and see if I can find the pinout. Make sure I have the pinout right. Let's see here. Oh, no, that's right. Out 1. Yeah, that's correct. I have the pinout right. Here, I'll show you what I was looking at. Let's see. Here's what I was looking for. On the pinout for the radio, I've got ground. Let's see, I'll put this so you guys can see it. Ground, 5 volt in, obviously that works because I have power. And then channel 1 out, and that is matched up on the radio for the, yeah, channel 1 out right there. Output is S-Bus. Press OK to start. I wonder if I have it in the right menu. Measure? I'm an idiot. Dang it. Dang it. There it is. Live. Fail. There it is. Oh man, I'm so stupid. I was on output, not input. I was outputting S-Bus. You have to measure S-Bus. So you go to the measure screen. All right. Well, monkey in a football. You know, what can I say? Okay, so there we go. We've got throttle. We've got aileron. We've got elevator. Everything looks copacetic to me. Yeah, I mean, you know, this is live. See, this is the stuff that when I do a video, all of that gets cut. When you do a live video, yeah, clap. when you do a production video, that all gets cut. That's why YouTube looks perfect. You know, you guys see us do these things. We sit there and we're like, you know, we go, oh, and here's all you have to do. And we chop all the stuff out. We're scratching our heads going, what the heck is going on? And we just go straight to the part where we got it to work. That's how we look like geniuses. We're really not that smart. Okay. Anyway, so that works. Okay. So now we've got output, we've got S-Bus. Now, I really want to try the smart audio. So I'm going to bring the VTX back in. So give me just a second. I really wanted to try this next. So I've got my VTX here and I'm going to plug it in. Let's see. I need to power both things. I need another battery. 1 second. All right, let me clean some of this up so you guys can see the chat. I want to try and be cognizant of that so we can make it easy to see what's happening. Or at least the best I can, anyway. All right, so we've got that. I'm going to set the radio aside, get that out of the way. I'm going to bring the camera back in for just a minute. And I've got the VTX, so just need a power supply. We'll get that connected and running. Telling you guys, these little buck boost converters, worth their weight in gold, man. I love these things. Okay, I'm just trying to clean up a little here so I can have a nice visual, the best visual I can give you. Okay, how we doing? These wires are in the way. That doesn't look too bad, right? No, that's not too bad. Okay, so next thing I'll do is connect my VTX. And I want to check my power. Well, it doesn't matter because the VTX has got 30 volts in, so we're okay on that. So there's power to the VTX. We got power there. And I need to connect my smart audio line now to the Nano. And all I did was just solder one pin. Just solder one pin there. That's it. And now in theory, I'm going to turn this on. And you guys should be able to see on the screen, you should be able to see, there we go, we got the battery. Now I'm going to bring the radio into the equation. I'm going to turn off this lower third so we can all see what's going on the radio. I'm going to get that out of the way and just clean up the screen. Okay, there, that's out of the way now. So now the idea is that you should be able to go into this Nano RX and VTX. I wonder if that's, I thought it was on the RX. I saw a VTX, a My VTX active. Oh, there we go. So channel A1. Let me just try changing the band. That would be the first thing. Nope. I'm not seeing that change. I thought it had to be done on the VTX, on the Nano. I don't see any other Crossfire in there. All right, channel 4 smart audio. I'm not seeing any options in there. Yeah, output 4 smart audio. I don't see any other options in here to change that. I would expect that in the Crossfire, I would expect that to be in the receiver. That's where I believe you're supposed to be able to see. I wonder if I change this to 8 channel. I'm just curious. Output 4. And I am on output 4. I confirmed that. So I'll check the manual real quick just to make sure. Yep, I'm on output 4. That's the second pin in from the left on the top row. So that is definitely output 4. All right. Let's see. I'm going to check Google real quick one time. And if I can't find it, I'm going to move on. So Crossfire Nano Smart Audio. Yeah, You have to exit the script. Yeah, I think I did that, but you know, I'm willing to try it anyway. I'll exit all the way out. In fact, I'll even shut down the whole radio.
Receiver is
No props involved, so what the heck? Why not? I'm paying attention to these lights too on the receiver to see if there's anything that goes on in there. I don't see anything happening on the lights that indicates there's something going on, but let's try it again. Crossfire configure, Nano RX. Well, that's disappointing. I don't see anything in here that lets me control it. I guess the micro TX, I could try that one more time and see. It says it does say my VTX in there, so. Nope, nothing's changing that channel over there. So no matter what I do in there, it doesn't seem to change the channel. Let's see, you have to exit the script, set and exit. Yeah, well, okay, I can try that too. I don't think you should have to exit though. I wonder if there's any other Lua. Let me see if there's another Lua. That's something I didn't check. Let's see, scripts. No. Tools. Crossfire. Device. Device Lua. Nope, that didn't work. Crossfire Lua. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to long press on output 4 to see if that brings up any options, and I don't see any. And I thought maybe on destination channel 4 there might be something else to do, but I don't see it. I see RSSI, link quality, RSSI, and that's it. So I don't see anything there. So I'm not sure. I think I'll have to come back. I'll have to revisit this. See, this is, again, you talk about live and production. Normally, this is something I would have tested and figured out and then said, oh, look, I got it to work, you know. But yeah, that wiring is correct as far as I know. Just a single wire from smart audio. This is a smart audio receiver, and I'm definitely not seeing anything. So, and I was pretty sure that you had, when you made changes, you had to make those changes on the receiver, not the transmitter. So that's it. That's a fail for now. SA 2.1. Yeah, this is 2.1. Yep, this is 2.1. Add TBS Agent Lite to the tool. So much better and better performance-wise. Nope, it's all old TBS stuff. I know the new one is way better. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll figure it out, and I'll let you guys know what I learn. I'm hoping that I'll be able to figure it out anyway. I'm gonna just check my wiring one more time to make sure I have that on the right spot. Yeah, that's on SA. That's on smart audio for sure. So, all right. Well, anyway, at least it's set up for it. I just got to figure out what I'm doing wrong. So I'll figure that out, and we'll revisit that. Okay, let me reset and get rid of all the video gear. We're going to go back to the transmitter only, and now we're going to start taking a look at the receiver only, and we're going to start taking a look at the Kopilot. That's next up. So we'll do that now. Let me just kind of reset the desk a little bit. Give me just a moment to clean things up here. Hey, PropSoft, we were trying to use, there's an ability on the TBS micro receivers to control smart audio VTXs. And I was trying to configure it, and it doesn't seem to work. So I didn't get any opportunity to play with it ahead of time because I wanted to do an out-of-the-box bind to show people how the Crossfire receivers bind with the transmitters. So I didn't do any prior work. It because it was kind of like cheating. I didn't want to cheat. I wanted you guys to see what I saw for the first time. Okay, so Kopilot. Next up, let's see. Here's the Kopilot. We'll set this stuff off to the side for just a moment. And this will be our first opportunity to kind of test out RCVR 1. Let's see, binding at the field, want to show everyone how easy it is, and it is, and had the same. Yeah, that's the way this stuff goes. The bind actually worked correctly. It took a little patience, but it worked, and that was kind of neat. No fiddling with it at all. Okay, so the Zod Kopilot Lite, if you guys haven't flown with one of these yet, I love them. I think these are really good little devices. They've got an excellent launch mode, and they've got an excellent return to home capability, and the stabilizer is really solid. So I've really been enjoying my Kopilots. So this is fresh out of the box. I can tell you guys right now, when it comes to the GPS, it does not work where I'm doing this work. So we will not be able to demonstrate any GPS capabilities at all, unfortunately, but that is what it is. All right. So I've got what we need out of the box. I'm just going to set this aside for now. And if you've never seen one of these configurations, it's not hard. So this is kind of what I wanted you guys to see. You know, if you've never touched a Kopilot before, never installed a stabilizer, I wanted you to get a feel for exactly how easy it is to do this. Okay. I get a lot of guys asking me about PWM, and if you were going to do a PWM configuration, you'd use this harness. It connects into the PWM jack on the Kopilot, and I'd have to look at the manual to figure out where these wires go. But one would go to a receiver, and I get a feeling that these would probably go to different servos, but these would go to like different input pins on your receiver. I'm not sure, but honestly, I really don't care. S-Bus receivers right now are $9. There's really no reason not to use S-Bus. You got to bite the bullet and go get a S-Bus receiver and learn. Love it, man. Embrace S-Bus. Hug it. You got to hug it. It's a good technology, and it works. It's known to work. Okay, so this is the GPS cable. Now, the trick on these is just look at the pins. And I really don't know if the camera is going to be much help here, but you got to look for the pins. And you see the pins on this are up high. So just make sure you align the connector so the connector holes are up high. Do I have this right? Yeah, I have it right. Maybe I have the wrong end. I don't know. There it is. Okay. So that's the thing. Just make sure your pins are lined up correctly, and then slide that in. And then once you've got that one in on the Kopilot, same thing. Just check your pin alignment. So check what I'm looking for is where those pins are in relation to the Molex. These are really small pins, and you don't want to put this in backwards, because if you do, you're not going to be real happy about what happens. So you can see that the pins are up high on the Molex, and on this I've got this backwards. The pins are up high when I flip it around. So I'll just flip that and connect it. There is the GPS plugged into the Kopilot. There we go. So that's it. That's how you connect the GPS. Nothing more to it. Very simple. All right. Next up, we're going to use the settings card. And same deal. Same deal. You just look for the pin alignment. Make sure you get the pin alignment right. And once you have that, you just slide that in, connect it, and then the settings card goes on here. Now the settings card, there is not a whole lot of use for the setting card. It has a couple things that will do, but you do not need to fly with the settings card connected. Okay, that's it. That's the Kopilot wiring. I mean, that's it. Now all that's left to do, you can see on RCVR1, I've got a link connection for my ailerons already. So you just have to imagine this is the plane, right? And then you got to read the markings on here. So you've got signal inboard. So all we need to do is connect the aileron to the aileron pin with the signal inboard. Real easy. And then the elevator, we'll do the elevator inboard, real easy. And then the rudder, I don't have, and this is aileron throttle rudder, so I have to skip throttle. I don't have throttle, and then we'll go right to rudder. So I don't have throttle set up on this. And there's also an aux port if you need it. So here's the wiring for this. You've got, let me get the little screwdriver, that'll help me point. Okay, so all I've done here in terms of wiring, we've got aileron right here, right there. Elevator, I don't have throttle on this plane. On this plane, it will of course be on the Dragon, but it's not on this plane. So no throttle connection. And then I have a rudder and no aux. That's it. That's the wiring. Now the last thing to do is to connect the receiver. So the receiver, there's an S-bus port. There's an S-bus port right here. That's the S-bus port. It's all the way at the bottom. So all we'll do is connect this guy to S-bus, and I'll make sure that's in the right way. And normally you guys know that when you have a throttle, the throttle is your ESC. So we're going to pretend this is my ESC, and I'm simply going to connect it to my power supply. So I'm going to set the power supply. We'll turn it on, and I'll set the output voltage to 5 volts because that's all I don't know what the Kopilot's numbers are, but I'm going to set it for 5. We're going to set it for 5 because that's normal. Normal power off of a BEC is 5 volts. So that's what we're going to give the Kopilot. So we'll tune this down to 5 volts. I'll just connect this to my output power right there. And then we'll simply plug this into the aux port. This would normally plug into your throttle, but I don't want to, what the heck. I'll stick it in the throttle. We'll get it in there the way it's supposed to be. How's that? The way there's no confusion. So you just have to imagine that this is the throttle, okay? This is your BEC. Just imagine that's a BEC. It's a 5-volt BEC source, okay? Now I can tell you, as I mentioned earlier, that the GPS lights are just going to blink because I never get a GPS signal in this facility where I am right now. It never happens. Oh, and the only other wire I have here are flaps, so we're not going to use the flaps. Okay, we've got that. We'll turn the radio on. I'm just going to kind of move. I want to rearrange a little bit again, try and make some room on this desk for everything. We got a lot going on here. Get the radio so you guys can see the radio. All right. Now we're going to look for the bind. You know, that's important. We got to get the bind on the receiver. And it's complaining about my SH switch, my throttle cut not being on. There's our bind. Okay. So we have a bind, and now we can take a look at our little RCVR1, and let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with RCVR1. So ailerons. Boy, there's a lot. Oh, I know why. Because I haven't done the configuration. It's got a mix going on. So you can see right away I've got stuff moving, but I'm also moving my elevator. So I bet it's set up for a wing. That's what's going on. So now the next thing to do, let me move this out of the way. And let's go ahead and look at the configuration for the Kopilot. All right. So we've got the Kopilot now, and there are some steps we have to go through. And this is another thing, just kind of go through it, take the time and go through it. It's not that hard. So the first thing we'll do, it says you have three different setups, the flying wing, V-tail, and T-tail. We need the T-tail configuration. So the way we got to get there, it says, let's see, it's been a while since I've done this. So it says LED configuration reference, constant on. Okay, so here's the LED reference. It says LED 1 is constant off, LED 2 is constant on. That's a T-tail. So that's what we're after. So let's see. Set the arrow aiming towards the nose of the plane. Adjustment board, check the LED. I'm trying to find a little section on how to set it. Yeah, so contrary to popular belief, I don't have this memorized for everything. Let's see. Be sure you have no mixes on your radio and set a 3-way switch on channel 5. I've already done that. All right. So how do we get into the air type, the mode? That's what I need to get into, is the mode. So let's see. We'll show the current flight mode and the type of plane. First, use the remote control to switch the flying mode until LED 1 or L2 are lit at the same time. Long press the set button on the adjustment board to switch the plane type. Okay, there we go. That's the first thing we need to do. We need to long press the set button on the adjustment board to switch the plane type. Okay, so the adjustment board, let's bring the Kopilot out so you guys can see that. That's the main thing. Let me move this thing out of the way. I'll hide the manual. All right, so the lights. Now in terms of the lights, we've got 3 lights. We got GPS, and then LED 1 and LED 2. So it looks like trying to make sure I have I'm trying to make sure it says adjustment board connection is down. Okay. No, that's not right. There we go. Okay. So the left one is GPS. The red blinking light is GPS, and then it's LED 1 and LED 2. So to have a T-tail configuration, we need LED 1 to be off and LED 2 to be on. So the way we get in there is we're supposed to long press the settings button. Let me get that board unwound from all this mess. All right. And what we're looking for is the second light to be solid on and the other light to be off. And right now they're both off. Constant off. That's not a thing. One's supposed to be on, one's supposed to be off. Weird. You know what? I'm just going to reset it. Okay. So here's the settings board, and here's the set button right here. So after this gets its little bind, I'm going to go ahead and long press the settings button. Oh man, what are we doing here? LED 1 or LED 2 are lit at the same time. Long press the set button. Oh, okay. When the plane needs this type to first use remote control to switch the flying mode until LED 1 and LED 2 are lit. At this time, press the set button. Well, maybe I didn't do it right. I'll power it on again. They're both lit. I'm going to long press the set button.
Stabilization on.
There we go. I got it. There we got it. It had to be, apparently had to have the stabilizer on. So there we go. Now I know it's hard to see that, but what I've got right here, guys, is I've got a red blinking light, and then LED number 1 is solid and LED number 2 is off, and that is reversed. LED 1 needs to be off and LED 2 needs to be on. That's a T-tail. Okay, let's change it. There we go. Okay. Now LED 1's off and LED 2 is on. That's T-tail. Okay, let's see if my setup supports that now. So I'll turn the stabilizer off, and there we go. That looks good. All right, so here's what I've got. I've got ailerons, and they look... Let me turn the plane around so we can see how it should look if we were actually flying the plane. So I'll do ailerons. We'll do a right stick movement now. So here we go. Right stick. So there's ailerons right, and there's elevator up. So they both actually work the correct direction, and so does the rudder. How about that? Right? That's a win. Normally it doesn't work. It's never that simple, right? It's never that simple. So up elevator works, right aileron works. Everything looks copacetic there. Okay, so that's step number 1. That's important. Let's see. Step number 2, flight mode settings. We've already kind of got this, and I'll just cover these real quick because I'm cheating a little bit and using a known working configuration. So I already kind of know how this is supposed to work. So let me bring the manual up. We'll look at the manual real quick. I'll let you guys see this so you can get a good look at what's going on. And let me zoom this in so you can see the text a little easier. That should help. Okay, so here's what I'm looking at now. This is setting up and making sure your flight modes are correct, okay? So the Kopilot uses 5 different flight modes. The flight mode is determined by the mode switch, GPS status, return to home, and knob status. There's a fence mode. We'll talk about that in a little bit. After configuring the mode switch, you can configure the preferred flight mode according to the table below. So when the LED, and when they say LED, they're referring to, I guess, 1 and 2. So when it's constantly on, it's in balance mode. The radio will keep the plane roll and pitch. This is the one where you basically do your flying around. And this is a very good stabilizer, by the way. When the LEDs are off, it's in manual mode. And when you have the LEDs blinking, there's no GPS. And notice what it says. It'll keep its altitude. So it'll maintain altitude controlled by manual. Plane will automatically climb if it's lower than 35 meters. blink already positioned, RTH position, return to home. Once returned to home, the plane will return home automatically when it's out of range. You can also use this as auto launch mode by setting your throttle to 80%. And then if you're blinking and you're in the fence mode, it'll activate the fence mode. So let's just take a look at the lights real quick and see what they look like on the Kopilot. And I already should have this worked out because I stole my configuration. So let me just hide this real quick. And we'll pull this down in front so we can get it on the camera. All right, so we're looking at these LEDs.
Return to launch.
So in return to launch mode, I haven't returned to launch right now, and you can see the LED is blinking, and that is return to launch. So that's correct. Now when I put it in the middle mode, stabilizer's off, constant off, that's manual mode. That's correct. So everything looks correct there. And then when I pull it down and put it in stabilizer mode, the light goes solid, and that's correct. So on is stabilizer mode, off is manual mode, and up, it's blinking, is return to launch mode. So that's how you know you got your modes correct. Okay? All right. That's step number 2. So we have our airframe type, we have our modes configured, and now we need to do a neutral calibration. So in order to maintain, let me bring the manual up so you guys can see what I'm seeing. So in order to maintain, here's what I'm reading. In order to maintain level attitude during flight, a stabilized calibration was required. So what this is doing is saying what's flat, okay? And this is kind of important. You need to do a what's flat configuration for this thing. So this needs to be flat on the table. So it says, put your plane level, power on the plane, wait for the Kopilot to complete the startup, move the sticks to match so it's in and down, wait for the flashing to stop, and the plane calibration is complete. Okay, so let's hide this. I'm going to move this out of the way. We're going to use the... See, you guys wonder why I talk about this silly little drop buck boost. Watch this there. My power's off on the plane. That's why I like this thing so much. Okay, so here's what it wants me to do. It wants me to put, you got to imagine this is mounted in your plane, right? That's what you have to imagine, that this is actually in the aircraft. So we'll imagine that it's in the aircraft and it's flat. I'm just going to hold it flat against my table. And now it says, make sure the airplane is flat and then power it on. Okay, it's powered on. And when it's done doing its little startup routine and all the lights stop blinking, then the next thing we'll do is we'll move the sticks down and in together. And it doesn't say anything about the mode. It says move the sticks. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about the mode. All right, so I think the startup routine is done. I'm going to go ahead and move the sticks in and down together. There we go. There's the blinking. Now, when you see the blinking, you let go. You see the blinking on the green lights? Once you see that, you let go. And then they'll stop, and I think we get a servo dance, but I'm not sure. Yeah, no servo dance. Okay, wait until the flashing stops. Repower the plane. Calibration complete. So we'll repower the plane. Okay, so that's flat. And you can see when I put it in stabilized mode now, you should see the plane making turns. So let's see. I have to put the nose forward. The stabilizer's got to be forward. Now's the time where I like to check and make sure my stabilizer direction is working the way I expect it to. So this is the arrow key. You see this little arrow right here? That's the arrow key, or the arrow indicating the direction you mount the Kopilot in the plane. Okay, so that's pointing forward. Now, if the plane goes into a bank to the right, you want to see the left aileron go up, and that's what it does. So this is correct. Right now I'm seeing, you can see on the little RCVR 1, when I go into a right-hand bank, that left aileron comes up, the right aileron goes down. That's correct. So when I go into a left-hand bank, the right aileron goes up, the left one goes down. That's correct. Now let's just check the elevator real quick. So if I pitch the nose up, it goes up. That's backwards. So what we need to do to fix that is we need to get on our settings board and we simply reverse the elevator. So here's how we do that. So here's our elevator control. Now we already know the elevator goes the right direction. You see that? It already goes the right direction. When I pull that back on the elevator, it goes up. So in order to reverse it, we just simply take the screwdriver. I want to make sure you guys can see that. You see how this elevator control or elevator pot right there is between the 6 and 9 position? We need to reverse that. It's backwards. So I'm just simply gonna flip it over to this side. So there we go. Now I flipped it and I will run the elevator again. So we'll pitch down and it's pitching down more. What did I miss? Did I do something backwards? There we go. When I pitch down, the elevator comes up. When I pitch up, the elevator goes down. That's correct. So we'll check our throws one more time to make sure we're going the right way. I'm simulating a left-hand movement on the aircraft and the plane wants to go right. That's correct. I'll simulate a right-hand roll. The plane wants to go left. That's correct. I'll simulate a pitch up and the nose wants to go down. That's correct. I'll simulate a pitch down. The nose wants to go up. That's correct. Okay. One more thing to do, and this is one I really want to stress. This is the one area where I really wish they'd I wish they'd figure out a way on the Kopilot Lite to do this, and that's gains in flight. Let me zoom in just a little bit. I want to zoom in a little bit because I want you to see how you adjust the gains on this plane. Okay, so you just take this little screwdriver and you adjust the pots. Now you can see when I turn the plane, what happened here? Did I turn the... Oh, I'm sitting here tilting the control board and not the stabilizer. Durr. Live. Okay. So what I'm going to do is adjust the pots, and my objective here is look what happens when I turn the plane. When I turn the plane right, to me that looks like way too much aileron, and if I pitch up, that looks like way too much elevator movement. So what I want to do is reduce those. I want to turn those down. So on my ailerons, there we go. I'm just making I need to put it so you guys can see it. So I just want to bring this aileron closer to noon. As I bring it closer to noon, that reduces the gain. All right, so now I'll tilt the controller again. Oh, and look at that, man. That actually looks worse. That looks worse. What did I do? Is it softer the other way? What did I miss here? Oh, wow. Oh, I was on the wrong side of noon. That's the problem. So there we go. So now all I've done is I brought my pot closer to the noon position. So when you bring it closer to noon, it reduces the gain. Watch what happens when I turn this pot all the way down. When I turn it all the way down, look at that. You see how much movement there is on that aileron? That's no good. So I'll just take the screwdriver and adjust the pot up so it's closer to noon. And there we go. Now it's much less movement on the aileron. Let's take a look at the elevator and we'll do the same thing. So I'll have to zoom out. I'm fighting with the stuff here. Not enough space. I got to zoom out a little so you guys can see it all at the same time. Okay, so I'll do a pitch up and look at how much that's responding. That's not going to be good flying, right? That's going to be pretty bad flying. So what we want to do in that case is just reduce the gain on your elevator. We want to take that gain down some. So right now, the elevator is going between 6 and 9. So what I'll do is I'm just going to spin this knob and take it down. Take it down, take it down. You don't want that much gain. There we go. That's better. Now look at that. We have some pitch and we have the elevator correcting. That's maybe not enough. Maybe not enough. This is a little bit of experience at play here too. So there we go. And I'll look at the plane too. You know, I'll put it on the actual plane and see what I like. Now, let's take a look at what we've got. When we roll to the right, we see a correction with the airplane trying to turn left. That's correct. When we pitch up, we see the elevator going down. That's correct. When we pitch down, the elevator goes up. That's correct. And our gains aren't out of control. All right. Now, with that done, we have one last thing to do. Please switch the flight. I'm going to bring the manual back up. Let me bring the manual back up for you guys real quick. And I'll show you the last step that we need to do. It says, please switch the flight mode to balance mode. Throttle at the lowest position, the other joystick neutral, then long press the set button on the tuning board for more than 3 seconds. Do not move the radio and wait for a few seconds. The aileron will move for 2 times, then the calibration is finished. What this is doing is telling the airplane or the Kopilot where your centers are, where your centers and trims. And we're not using centers and trims. In fact, I actually have some trim. That's not good. That was on the elevator too. Okay, that's fixed. Okay, so this is what we want to do, is make sure all our trims are zeroed, make sure everything's zeroed out. This is zeroed out. This is everything's 0. Okay, everything's at 0. And we're going to tell the radio or the computer now where our centers are. That's what we're doing. We're telling it where our centers are. So the book says put it in balance mode. It is. Throttle at the lowest setting. It is. I can move the radio out of the way. We don't really need that for this step. I want you guys to see what I'm doing here. And it says long press the set button on the board for more than 3 seconds. Don't move the radio. Wait for a few seconds. The aileron will move for 2 times. Calibration is finished. So here's the set button. I'm just going to press this and hold it. Let go. Ailerons move. And there we go. Now that is a calibration so the airplane knows, or the flight computer knows, where our centers are. That's it. That's the configuration. Now there's one last thing I want to do, because I learned this lesson with my Dart. With my Dart 250, I learned this lesson, and that's it. I'm going to take the control board off. I'm just going to unplug it. Okay. And by the way, I got that guidance from Kopilot directly. I didn't make that up. They said, make sure you unplug that before you turn it off. So I've unplugged my settings board. I'll turn it off. So everything is shut down now. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn it back on. And the reason I did that is because I want to verify my gains. This is the mistake I made with my Kopilot. I did not, my first Kopilot, I didn't verify the gains after I set them and disconnected the board. And I think what happened was I turned off the power on the unit first, then disconnected the board. So we're in balance mode, and are we in balance mode?
Stabilization on.
Stabilization on. I've got the airplane with the arrow turned toward the north. Now I'm going to move. Yep, those gains look pretty good to me. That looks like about where we set it. Okay, that's an important step. You want to verify those gains, because that's what happened to me on my Dart 250 on my first flight. I didn't verify my gains before I chucked it, and because I didn't, that plane oscillated like crazy. It oscillated like mad. It was nuts. All right, that is it, guys. That is the configuration bits that I wanted to show you. I got to turn this radio off, because otherwise it's gonna, yeah, there we go. It blows a frequency tuning hole in my head with my with my Crossfire. I get it. I get it in the ear with the Crossfire with that thing. Okay, let's see. I'm going to go back because I've been kind of going hard and not hitting the comments. Let me go back. I want to check the comments and see what's going on here. So let's see. I saw Jerry take off. He's got to go get his beauty sleep. No Agent X, no Burnt North. I will get to that. Like I said, with these YouTube channels, sometimes it's better to start with the basics and see what you can do without the gimmicks and the tricks. And I'll admit the tricks are cool, but I'll get to it. I will get to it. I'm not there yet. Maybe you need to map. Oh, we were still talking. That's on the VTX. I will figure that out. Maybe you need to map the Nano RX outputs. Yeah, I did that. Let's see. William late for the show. Aux 1. Burnt North says Aux 1. I believe VTX is in TX. Yeah, I thought that it was supposed to be, there is a VTX and a TX, but it didn't seem to do anything. Props off, live marathon today. Yeah, man, got to get the content out there. Got stuff to do. Got a lot to do. You have to exit the script if I'm right. Set and exit. Yep, we did that. I'll have to go back and revisit that. Add the TBS agent light to tools, much better and better performance-wise. I will definitely give that a whirl. This is Smart Audio 2.1, Burnt North. Let's see. You had the same issue, binding at the field. Okay, let's see. Kopilot's great. Would be amazing if it had some OSD info. Sergio, I've thought about that a lot. And, I think you can't argue that OSD information is nice, especially when you have a very complete OSD like iNav. But there is something to be said for simplicity. you know, and I kind of equate the Kopilot to being like a smart biplane, you know, back in the day, right? And you just go out and fly and it does the job, and there's less that can go wrong. This is a really good place to start if you're new to FPV, I think. So we just did a full flight computer configuration in the span of this video, which has been an hour and 10 minutes from start to finish, including looking at the VTX and playing around with smart audio. So that's one of the reasons I like the Kopilot, and I know my way around iNav, and it takes a little longer to do it that way, and it's more complex. This is a nice basic configuration. Let's see. ArduPilot and iNav are awesome, but it's very hard to learn how to make them. Yeah, that's the thing, Sergio, man. They're excellent. They are superb, but they do take some time. It takes some time to learn them. And flying in, you know, with a complex flight computer, they're not merciful, man. They show you no mercy if you make a mistake. Burnt North, haven't seen a Kopilot in South Africa, so we stick with what we got. Oh, that's sorry. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Maybe you can convince one of your local hobby shops to pull some in for you, or maybe Banggood. Got links in the description for Banggood. JDM Microsystems says a little late, didn't set a reminder. My bad. Yep, you guys got to catch the notification bell. Burnt North, I'll tell you what, man. This is my third one of these, and they fly exceptionally well. What they're really good at being is a camera platform, and that's what I had in mind with the Dragon. You know, when I got the Dragon, I thought, man, that's a camera platform. You know, because it has space up front for a why can't I move this stupid thing? It's got space up front for a GoPro, and it's got the FPV camera, so you can put the GoPro and the FPV camera. There's the GoPro right there, and there's the FPV camera, and it's twin motor, so no props in the way. And this would be fun just to tool around. It'll hold some battery, and it's fun to tool around. So it's a simple pleasure. I guess that's the best way I can put it. Is there's a very simple pleasure in flying this Kopilot around. You know, it just does a really nice job. Okay, let's see comments. Try and get that on the screen. All right. I'm using the Kopilot and the old Easy OSD. It works great. Yeah, I spent some time one night looking around for OSD options, and a buddy of mine used an old flight computer. He didn't connect it. He's not using it for any stabilization, not connected to the servos, but he simply used it for a VTX feed, which is kind of cool. He gets the gyro stuff and the altitude and all that stuff, but it's not connected. So that'd be a use if you have an old flight computer laying around. You could use it for VTX, which is very cool. So yeah, hey, there's 35 viewers and 24 likes. Thanks, Robert, for doing that. If you guys don't mind, hit the like button. I appreciate it. It helps the channel. My experience with Kopilot, bigger planes can use more gain and smaller planes drift nano. Yeah, I agree, Sergio. This is my first swing at the Kopilot outside of the small 250 class. So I'll try it, you know, with a little bit more gain just to see what happens. That's the one thing I wish they do on Kopilot, is add the ability to tune the gains. That's one thing the SXR is really good about. You can put your gain on a knob and you just tune it. You know, you just sit there and spin a knob until it stops shaking and you're done, and it works great. I'd love it if Kopilot came up with that, man. One more channel. I mean, come on, we're using S-Bus. Just feed one more channel in. Let's have that S-Bus connection to gain on software. That'd be genius, man. That'd be it. I think that would literally make this the perfect beginner's FPV flight computer. Perfect. All right. Cool. I'm totally in for it now. Yeah. Check them out, Carlos. If you get an opportunity to get your hands on one, they're $42 and it comes with the GPS. That's another thing that kind of, I think, gets overlooked a little bit, is that these things are $42 and that includes a $12 or $15 GPS unit. And I can tell you right now too, the auto launch sequence on this thing works great, and the return to home works great. I've never had a problem with either. Well, I had a little problem with the launch sequence once, but I think that's because I was throwing it like a powder puff. You know, you gotta give it a throw. No question about that. You gotta give it a good throw. But when you do that and it gets the motor going, if you've got everything that we just covered done correctly, setting your calibration, setting level, you'll be surprised, man. The auto launch on this thing really works well. It really does work well. Late to the show, everyone. Mine works fine, but I'm showing a voltage of 4.08 on OSD for my 3S. Well, okay, so Jason, where are you getting the voltage from? So that's the question. When you say you see 4.08 on your OSD. What OSD and where are you getting the voltage? So like in my case, when I did the camera, hold on. If I don't break the camera. Okay, so in my case, I can get rid of the control board. That'll help clean things up just a little bit. So in this example, what I've got here, this is my power input. Now this is not going to be connected to the BEC, okay? This is going to be connected to mains power. If you connect this to a BEC, guess what? You're going to see the max voltage of the BEC outputs. So make sure that's the first thing. Make sure that you're not connecting this to a BEC, because then that's what you're going to get. This needs to be on main power, on your main power leads. And that's where mine will be connected. Okay, main power, it goes into my LC filter. Red and black power the VTX. Okay, that's what this is for. This red and black power the VTX. And then you see I've got another red line that comes over here to my voltage sensor or VBAT in on the camera. And when I do that, if you want to see it, I'll bring the thing back in. But it sounds to me, if you're seeing 4.08, I would make sure that you've got, I mean, put a multimeter on it and decide if you're actually running 4.08. Because if you're running 4.08 and you're seeing 4.08, well then, I mean, you know part of the answer, right? Unplug. Okay. I'll get the airplane out of the way so you can see. But there you go, 5.1 volts. But look at my meter. You see how the meter is 5.09? So if I just turn the meter up, watch the voltage here, okay? So when I turn this voltage up, there's 5.2, 5.5. Well, I'll turn it up. I'll crank it a little bit and we'll just let it sit and let you see it. So there's 8.8, okay? So that's what I see, but the reason I see that is because my voltage sensor goes to the main lead right here on my LC filter. That doesn't go to a BEC, and I kind of maybe get the feeling when you say things like that that maybe that's what's going on. So let's see. I'll put it to use in the Optera. Okay. I'm not sure, Burnt North, if you're talking about the Kopilot or not, but yeah. Optera, it would work. It'd work fine. It does a T-tail, V-tail, and a wing, and it does fine. The Dart's a wing, and it does fine. Stefan Cristofero, hello from Chilly Walled Lake, Michigan. Ooh, yeah, Lake Michigan, that's no good. Yeah, Jay, S8R, yeah, all the FreeSky SXR units have gain. I love those. Sergio says I have at least 10 Copilots, nice. Missy Alarm too, okay. All right, no questions. So Jason Jackson, you know, don't be afraid to hop on Discord if you need to, and we can help you out. But the point I'm getting to is that if you connect your voltage sensor lead to a main power lead for your input, which is what I've got here. I know it's kind of hard to see. There's a lot of wires here. It's kind of a pain. So off of here, in fact, you know what's even better than that? Let me just put the diagram up. That will probably be better. I got the diagram right here. Let me do that. I'll move this thing out of the way and move all this stuff out of the way. What a mess. I'm going to turn that off before I short something out. So there's the diagram. That's maybe a better way to look at the problem, right? Let me unlock and move this here. There we go. How's that? Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. If you look at this wire, the sensor wire coming off the back of the camera, that goes right here to the filtered side of my LC filter. Keep in mind, this LC filter is not changing voltage, right? That voltage going in on that filter is directly off my power source, all right? Directly off the power source, and it goes through the filter for cleaning it up to make sure you don't have any noise on your video circuit. And then I have one line going to the receiver or the transmitter and one line going to the camera. And that is mains voltage. Not notice that I put a note in there. It says not BEC, right? Make sure that you don't use the BEC. You don't want to use that to power if you're trying to drive your voltage sensor on your camera. Okay. All right, Robert shared the Discord link. So yeah, the guys definitely hop out on Discord if you have questions like this, or you need more detail, or even if, you know, what I gave you didn't solve your problem and you need to talk about it some more, Discord's the place to go, man. There's a lot of people out there who know what's going on and they can help you out. All right. Well, I think that's it. I don't see any other questions. I don't see anything else about the Kopilot. So what did we cover today? We did an out-of-the-box bind for a Crossfire. We connected S-Bus to the Crossfire and showed that S-Bus works on the Kopilot, no problem. We failed miserably at smart audio on the Nano. I'll figure that out and let you know what I learned. And we got the Kopilot configuration, 3 steps. We did the, we set the airplane type. We set the level on the board, and we did the radio calibration. And then we verified the stabilizer, return to home. The only thing I didn't verify for you guys is the fail-safe. And I can tell you that what you want is no pulses. So set no pulses on your fail-safe. And when you do that, when the Kopilot sees no pulses, it automatically goes in return to home. Oh, and I'm glad we did this little recap because I forgot one thing. And that was I've got a mess now. This is just a gaggle of wires. One last thing I forgot to tell you guys is setting return to home versus fence mode. And to do that, all you want to do is take this guy and spin it all the way clockwise, all the way to the right. If you don't do that, if it's on the other side of noon, you'll have what's called fence mode. By setting it all the way over to the right, just turning it clockwise all the way to the right, you have it in return to home mode. Okay. Okay, so we did the full top to bottom configuration on the Kopilot. We verified our control surfaces. We had to reverse one of them. We showed how to do that. And then we talked a little bit about our on-screen display capabilities for a camera. So in this configuration, I'll tell you guys, one thing you want to do if you're new to FPV for sure, do not fly an FPV plane all the way to the tree line up to 399 feet unless you can see your voltage. It's super, super important to understand your voltage. Yes, and we covered launch mode. Launch mode real quick. To do launch mode, all you've got to do is put it on when you first plug it in on the ground, you let it go through its little initialization. You put it on return to home mode. You set the power up to, they say 80 to whatever. I just put it up to 80% is fine. 80, 90% is fine. And then you throw the plane. And when you do that, they do a wonderful job taking off. They'll take off, climb out, and make a nice circle around. You can walk back to your flight station, get your goggles on, have your spotter, get a good lock on the plane. It all works really well. So very good launch mode. Thanks for reminding me, but launch mode was really good on these planes. So yeah, we covered that too. And we did a nice little wiring diagram to show you guys how to do a standalone, if you're not using a full-on flight computer on iNav, how to do a standalone VTX and camera configuration. So all right, pretty cool. I think I'm going to have to get one of those. Yeah, Ryan, try them out. And you know, you don't even need to fly at FPV. If you just need a plane that can lock itself, think about this. I mean, how many times have you ever been out flying and you said, oh crap, you know, and you lost orientation on the plane? You know how nice it is just to be able to hit a switch and have the plane say, oh, no problem, I got it. And it comes home and flies in circles. Even if you don't want to fly FPV, forget the camera. Forget the camera. It's nice just to know that if you have a nice plane, that if you get into trouble, you can hit return to home and that thing will level itself out and fly home and circle for you. So it's a nice little party trick to be sure. Okay, guys. Well, hey, listen, I hope you enjoyed the video and you found it informative and useful. If you did, make sure you leave a thumbs up. A comment afterwards would be great. If you could leave a comment in the video after we leave here and it posts and you can leave comments, that'd be awesome. I don't see any other questions. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching. That's all I've got for today. Take it easy.